Hi there, and welcome to our Gem Pursuit. Matthew Weldon here, and with me, as usual, is my trusty co-host, Elise Ketcher. Elise, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Hello, Matthew, and to all of our listeners, welcome to our latest episode.
If you've been listening, you'll know we've been covering Cartier pieces from the current V&A exhibition in London, and this week we are going to talk about the Amethyst Bib Necklace. Now, Elise, I see you're wearing a very beautiful necklace today. Kind of a mix of like a scarf and a beautiful gold kind of toggle with diamonds in it.
So I thought that I would wear a necklace today because if you're going to be talking about a fabulous woman, you have to be a fabulous woman. So my necklace is on today so that I can get into the spirit of Wallis Simpson and her bib necklace. One of her most iconic pieces from the Wallis Simpson collection of jewels. And it was not an accessory. The dress was the accessory. Welcome to the audio guide for the Cartier exhibition, located in London at the V&A Museum. If you are following along live in the exhibition, we will give you the location of today's item. Should you be afar, don't fret. Our show notes have all the pictures and links to this item. For those following along, make your way all the way through to the fourth gallery. This we have coined the Royal Room. Inside the Royal Room, we have the left side wall. Follow it all the way along until you get to the corner. In the corner, you'll see a collection that belonged to Wallis Simpson, the Duchess of Windsor. Once you locate the largest necklace, in this case, you are ready.
It's great to have a really good description of where to actually find it because it's actually one of my favorite necklaces. I think the first thing that strikes you is the bright colors and probably unusual gemstones that you mightn't think usually go together.
Unusual color combinations, Matthew, just like you said there. You know, the Art Deco period really was kind of like the very first time that we started to see this kind of branch out to color combinations in the West being used that wouldn't ever have been seen together. Usually it was a colored gemstone paired with diamond, and that was it. Pastel colors, sometimes we see a few beautiful kind of pastel colors in the Georgian period paired together and in the Victorian period, but nothing that was like two very bright colors that would match together until really the Art Deco period. And then this particular necklace that we're talking about today was created by Cartier Paris in 1947, and it was a commissioned piece. If you're standing in front of it or if you're viewing it in a picture, what you're looking at predominantly is a purple gemstone, and this rich purple gemstone is known as amethyst. Most of the time, it is considered quite a common gemstone. So it's not as, let's say, prized or seen as such a precious gemstone as other gemstones.
If you go back and we did an episode on amethyst, it was historically the most precious, the cardinal gem, but obviously big discoveries of amethyst in Brazil did change that. But I suppose beauty and value are always related, but in some ways are unrelated. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful gemstones, albeit it's not a pigeon blood ruby in terms of its value. And as you mentioned there, it's a commissioned piece. Now, I've been to a couple of Cartier stores in my life, and I've walked in and there's not exactly a commission counter, right? But if you are a client of Cartier, and you know, the Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor, certainly was a good client of Cartier, and of course Wallis Simpson had one of the greatest jewelry collections, you know, possibly of all time, right? So they will actually make pieces for you, and that's a term that they use for that. When you're in the trade, what you'll see some pieces are Cartier and some pieces are called Monture Cartier. Now, I don't know if this piece has a Monture Cartier mark, but what that means, if you ever see it, is that the client typically provided the gemstones and then the Cartier made the piece. So in essence, what they're saying is we made it, but, the gemstones aren't necessarily Cartier quality. And that's not saying that they're not great gemstones, just saying that they didn't provide them.
Yeah. So with Cartier, collaboration is just not something that's available to everyone. Collaboration, it's kind of like getting your favorite artist in the world and you saying to them, this is the subject matter, do this. Like, it never happens. You might say, could you paint a portrait of me? And then they're left to their own devices to do that. With Cartier, they did allow a certain amount of collaboration with very special clients. Now, you had to be a very special client for them to do it. And like you said, gemstones in some cases could also be provided by the client, even gemstones that perhaps wouldn't have been up to par in terms of what Cartier would usually put into their items. However, we're talking about Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor. His jewellery or his gemstone collection that he would have been available to him at the time would have been some of the very, very best gemstones available. And in this case, for this necklace, we have over 300 carats of amethysts, which he provided to Cartier to create what is now known as the Bib Necklace. And this particular necklace features incredible shapes of amethyst, which, if you can imagine, at the time, that would have been really difficult to actually, like, what are we going to do with 27 emerald cut amethysts, an oval amethyst, and a heart-shaped amethyst? Those particular shapes also don't usually go together. So emerald cut is like a rectangle. Obviously, an oval is an oval shape and a heart shape. So creating something with all of those shapes would have also been a design challenge in itself.
But like you say, Lisa, it's a close collaboration. It's not freehand to say make this or make that. It was a close collaboration. And actually, when you look at it, and I thought exactly the same thing when I saw heart shape. I actually went back and I was like, where is the heart shape? Because it's set so seamlessly into it that you can actually barely, obviously when you know that it's a heart shape and you look at it, you see it.
Yeah, it just shows you, it really just shows you how talented and creative Cartier as a jewelry firm were, that they could take it's almost like a chef that can go into a fridge and the fridge has like just leftovers in it and create something, a very, very beautiful meal. It's the very same thing with Cartier. They were able to create something that wouldn't have even been in the wheelhouse of imagination for other artists.
They're the great chefs who do that, not, I don't know, like you're saying, well, when I have to go and buy every single ingredient and I end up I literally can't go into the fridge and make something. I have to buy all the ingredients.
Yeah, anyway, you should see the kitchen after he cooks too. It's like,
oh no,
it's like a bomb.
No, Elise, you should taste the food.
I have.
Yeah, after nearly said the
nothing tastes as sweet as a clean kitchen. Let me tell you. He brings one ingredient, which is the over 300 carats of amethysts, which is, like I said, the 27 emerald cuts, the oval cut and the heart shape. He also brings 10.66 carats of diamonds, which he provided as well.
Do you think that was symbolic? 1066, King of England. That was a pretty important date, I think. Didn't that lead up to the Battle of Hastings? And then
I have no idea.
I know it probably didn't, but it is a very important date in English history. And obviously this was English king provided this number. But the turquoises, they didn't come from him.
No, but that's where the collaboration comes into effect, I think, because we're looking at all of these gemstones which have been provided. We want one piece of jewelry from it, and Cartier's been like given this commission, and it's very much, okay, what do we do? Number one, to take it from being something that's quite old school, because amethyst and diamond together in white metal is very, very old school look. They elevate the amethysts and they modernize it with the design that they create for a very, very modern couple. So adding the turquoise and shunning white metals for a predominantly gold look with this particular necklace absolutely makes everything come together, and the end product is magnificent. It's modern but timeless. It's unique but classic. It's iconic for the woman that it was created for. And anybody who sees it and knows anything about jewelry or has read jewelry books, you would have seen this necklace numerous times because of how striking the color combination is, and also because how beautiful the design is. So unusual and very, very of its time.
I mean, Wallis Simpson was known for her bold fashion choices and her fondness for like vivid colors. She particularly loved this necklace, and according to the official album curated by Lauren Salmon, she also accompanied it with a matching pair of earrings, a brooch, a ring, and a bracelet. And the bracelet is displayed at the V&A exhibition next to the necklace. It's designed as 5 rows of amethyst, 2 rows of turquoise beads, and string into kind of a star-shaped clasp. You know, and the clasp holds a hexagonal-shaped amethyst with turquoise and diamond as well. So, like, beautifully matched. Again, really striking, but it almost sounds like it shouldn't work, but like it really, really does work.
It works really well, but the one thing that I really love about it, as you said, is Wallis Simpson really was a lover of bold colours. And so when King Edward VIII actually abdicated his throne so that he could be with Wallis Simpson, he also had to leave behind the royal jewellery collection. Now, he always had this kind of turmoil, I'd say, about leaving behind, number one, something that he was basically born to do and had been kind of his whole life been preparing to take on this role. But he also left behind things that were quite sentimental, the royal jewelry collection in particular, which is one of the main reasons behind why he had so many jewelry pieces made for Wallis, because she had no access to wearing royal jewelry items. And he believed that that was a way for people to recognize royalty, was outstanding pieces of jewelry. And so he curated basically one of the most greatest modern day jewelry collections for his wife so that she would be recognized as a royal, something which most people wouldn't refer to when they were in her presence, especially anyone who was English. So it was really important to him that she had important jewelry pieces, that they were modern and that they were very striking. This one is really one of them. And whenever they went to occasions where they would be addressed as a royal couple, she would usually debut a new piece of jewelry. And so this particular piece of jewelry was debuted at a 1953 gala, which happened in Versailles. And this is where we come into the jewelry piece being more important than the dress. The jewelry piece was created first, and then Dior actually made a gown to accompany her jewelry item. So this is, like, I find this so fascinating because jewelry is literally called an accessory, right? It's not, it accessorizes the ensemble. The ensemble doesn't accessorize the necklace. But in this particular case, the dress was the accessory.
To my eye, and I'm certainly not yet anyway, a style advisor, but jewellery we're pretty good on. But it's very restrained, you know, and it was thought that it was crafted this way not to overshadow the jewellery, but to frame it as the focal point. Now, I actually totally understand that. And as you said, the order of it is different. It's normally jewellery accessorizes the dress. But I mean, I don't think there was much risk of overshadowing this necklace, to be honest with you, because of the size. Just and we obviously talked about the carat weight of the stone, but I think the size of this necklace it's called a bib necklace because it's like a whole bib. It's not a single pendant or just a riviere. You know, Christian Dior, Cartier, what a powerhouse of post-war fashion and jewellery coming together.
Yeah, it's the launch of the new look as well. So the new look was a tighter silhouette and definitely more of like an hourglass look that came out in the 1950s. But of course, the forefront of fashion and specifically with Dior, it's just very, very typical Wallis Simpson that she would have been, number one, the kind of first woman to wear this look to a gala. Also, the fact that the dress was very subdued but exquisitely crafted with beads and floral motifs, which perfectly suit as a beautiful frame for the necklace. Also, this gorgeous like lilac silk scarf that she wore with it as well, or a wrap, really. It's like a wrap that you hold around your arms with long white gloves. She wore this particular look. And some people would say, oh, you know, the deep, rich purples of the amethyst going with a lighter lilac wouldn't go. In this ensemble, it is pure bliss. It is stunning. And to see it in person, I'm sure it would have been quite a moment because everybody else would have kind of still been wearing something that was a little bit more of an older look. This would have been like, wow, where do I get that from? I don't want to be wearing what I'm wearing. I want to wear what she's wearing. And that's just the kind of presence that Wallis Simpson had. Women, especially in that particular period, women loved to hate her. And I know that that sounds really horrible, but they loved to hate her and then they hated to love her at the same time because of what she represented. But at the end of the day, you cannot question her style. What a stylish woman.
And after the Duchess's death in 1986, the necklace was sold at auction, 907,500 Swiss francs, which are broadly today worth, I think, a tiny bit more than €1, so maybe a bit more than $1. Huge sums of money for a necklace. And today, if it went for sale again, I mean, really, it's
millions.
You'd be, could go for anything, really.
You could never get it again. And this is the thing with antique and vintage jewelry. It is a one of a kind, never to be seen again, never can be created again piece. And it's walking history.
That's all for this episode of Gem Pursuit. Thank you very much, Elise.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you, everyone, for listening and following along.
We really appreciate all of your support. If you do ever have something you'd like to reach out on, don't hesitate, and you can email us on experts@courtville.ie, and we would be delighted to hear from you. This episode was produced by Ross Hannon of Tape Deck, with project management and research by Veronique Gogan and Fenia Segudi. From myself, Matthew Weldon, chat you next time.